So we have lesson 7.4 here. This is all about dividing a polynomial by a monomial. Okay, so first we're going to review the quotient rule of exponents because this is going to play a big part here. Okay, so to divide a polynomial by a monomial, we have to divide each term in the numerator by the term in the denominator. For exponents, recall the quotient rule. Okay, so let's take a look at the quotient rule first. The quotient rule says if we have a number in the numerator, say x to the a, and a number in the denominator, x to the b, we have the same base, so x and x is our base here, and then we just have different exponents. We can combine these into just one term with the same base, and we'll just subtract we'll subtract the exponents, but the one on top goes first and the one on bottom goes second. Okay, so that's how we subtract them. So if we had something like, let's move this over, like x to the 7th over x to the 4th, we can write that with the same base x, and then we do 7 minus 4, which is x cubed. So we can combine this into x cubed. If we had something like that, but I don't know why that's not erasing. But say we had x to the 3rd over x to the 7th, we would still subtract these, so we get x to the 3 minus 7. Well, 3 minus 7 is negative 4, so x to the negative 4th would be our answer, but because it's a negative exponent and we cannot give our final answers with negative exponents, we'll just move it to the denominator. So right now technically it's in the numerator above 1, so we'll just move it to the denominator and we'll put 1 over x to the 4th. Okay, so just a little reminder on our negative exponents there as well. Okay, so let's move this guy back. So now we have our quotient rule. That's going to be important to remember, and the other thing that I circled here or highlighted here that is really, really important to remember is that every single term in the numerator must be divisible by the same number in the denominator, and we'll take a look at that. So we see example number 1. It's easiest to break this up in a similar way when we are like multiplying or distributing, where we look at the coefficients first, just the numbers, and then we look at the variables. So if we just look at the numbers negative 36 and 4, we want to find a number that each of these are divisible by. Okay, so each of these are divisible by 4. So if we do 8 divided by 4, that gives us 2. Negative 36 divided by 4 is negative 9, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. So we'll just leave it as that. Okay, and then we'll take a look at the variables here. We have n squared, n, and n. So we're looking for the highest, the biggest number that they're divisible by, and they're each divisible by n. So if we divide n squared by n, we're left with n. If we divide n by n, we're left with 1, which would be here by 9, but we don't really need to write it in, and then on the bottom it would also be 1. Okay, and then this would just simplify to 2n minus 9. Okay, so we're just simplifying these fractions by finding what they're divisible by. Another way we can look at it, if it might be a little bit more helpful, let's move this over, is when you have 2 terms in the numerator but 1 term in the denominator, you can also split it up. So we could write this as 8n squared, and then you'll give the denominator to both terms, and then this would be a minus sign because of this minus sign, and then we have 36n over 4n. So this might be a little bit easier for you to look at, and we can see here we want to reduce this fraction of 8 over 4, which is equal to 2, and then this fraction of n squared over n, which when we divide that out is just equal to n. Okay, we'll keep this minus sign. And then we can look at this 36 divided by 4. That is equal to 9. And this n over n will just cancel out to 1. And so we won't write it. And so here we'll find we have the same answer here. Okay, so that's another way to look at it if you'd like. It does give you an extra step, but maybe it's easier for you to see it that way. So let's look at example number 2. So first we want to look at just the coefficients and see what they're all divisible by. So negative 14 divided by 7, that will leave us with negative 2. And then 7 divided by 7, the second term here, that will leave us with 1, so we don't need to write it. X to the 12th, and we have x squared here, so remember we can write this as x to the 12 minus 2, which is x to the 10th. So we'll write x to the 10th here. And then y to the 5th, y squared, we have y to the 5 minus 2, which is y cubed. Okay, plus, and we already said 7 divided by 7 is 1, so we don't need to write that. X squared divided by x squared is also 1, and y squared divided by y squared is also 1. So these will all be, it will technically be 1 times 1 times 1, which is just equal to 1. So our final answer is negative 2x to the 10th y cubed plus 1. Okay, so let's look at some of these other ones. Let's look at this 6x divided by 3 first. This will be 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then we'll leave the x. And then we'll look at this 9 divided by 3 here. Gives us positive 3. Okay, over here, this 10v squared divided by 5, that gives us 2v squared. And then we'll look at 5v divided by 5. It's positive, so it gives us plus 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times v is just v. And then this last one here, negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. And there's our final answer. Number 3, so let's look at 8a cubed divided by a. That's 8a squared. And then negative 2a squared divided by a is negative 2a. Okay, so the negative 2 stays, then we just have a squared divided by a, which is also equal to a to the 2 minus 1, which is a to the 1, which is just a. And then 5a divided by a is just going to be plus 5 here. All right, so let's look at 40x squared divided by 8. Well, 40 divided by 8 is 5. And x squared divided by x is just x. And then negative 8x divided by 8x. Well, 8 divided by 8, negative 8 divided by 8 is negative 1. X divided by x is 1, so we're left with just 5x minus 1 here. Number 5. 18c squared divided by 18c cubed divided by 3c. 18 divided by 3 is 6. C cubed divided by c is c squared. If we subtract the exponents, 3 minus 1 is 2. And negative 21c squared divided by 3c. Negative 21 divided by 3 is negative 7. C squared divided by c is just c. We subtract the exponents, 2 minus 1 is 1. And then 3c divided by 3c, well, 3 divided by 3, excuse me, 3 divided by 3 is 1, c divided by c is 1, so we'll add 1 here. Number 6, 6a squared b divided by negative 2ab. So 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. A squared divided by a is a, and b divided by b is 1, so we'd be multiplying by 1. We don't need to write that. Negative 12ab squared divided by negative 2ab. Negative 12 divided by negative 2 is positive 6. A divided by a is 1, so we don't need to write it. B squared divided by b is b, so we're left with negative 3a plus 6b. Negative 20x squared divided by 5x. Well, negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. X squared divided by x is just x. Then we have negative 5x divided by 5x. Negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. and x divided by x is 1, so it'll just be a minus 1 there. Okay, getting to some more terms here. 14x to the 6y cubed divided by negative 7x to the 4th y. So 14 divided by negative 7 is negative 2. X to the 6 divided by x to the 4th is x squared. If that wasn't clear right away, remember we have x, the numerator on the top is 6, numerator on the bottom is 4, so 6 minus 4 is x squared. And then y cubed divided by y is y squared. And then we have negative 49 x to the 5th y to the 9th divided by negative 7 x to the 4th y. So negative 49 divided by negative 7 is positive 7. X to the 5th divided by x to the 4th, we have 5 minus 4 is 1, so we just have x. And then y to the 9th divided by y, 9 minus 1 is 8, so we have y to the 8th here. Number 9, negative 25 x to the 4th y cubed divided by negative 5x squared y. Negative 25 divided by negative 5 is positive 5. X to the 4th divided by x squared. 4 minus 2 is 2, so we have x squared. And then y cubed divided by y is y squared. Looking at 30x squared y to the 5th divided by negative 5 x squared y. 30 divided by negative 5 is negative 6. X squared divided by x squared is 1, so we don't need to write it. And then y to the 5th divided by y is y to the 4th. There's our final answer there. Last one on this page. 20. Oh, there's 3 variables here. 20, a to the 7th b cubed c squared divided by 5 abc. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. A to the 7th divided by a is a to the 6th. B cubed divided by b is b squared. And c squared divided by c is just c. Now we're looking at negative 5abc divided by 5abc. Negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. A divided by a, 1. B divided by b, 1. C divided by c, 1. So we have negative 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. So it's just negative 1. And there's our final answer there. Moving on to the second page, 6 more problems, and then 4 mixed practice, it looks like. So 11, now we have 3 terms on top, okay? And it's going to be the same method. We're just going to be taking each term one by one to divide by the denominator. So 16x to the 6th divided by 4x squared. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. X to the 6th divided by x squared is x to the 4th. Remember, we have x to the 6th minus 2, which is 4, x to the 4th. Negative 12x to the 4th divided by 4x squared. Negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. And then x to the 4th divided by x squared is x squared. And then the last one here, we have 4x squared divided by 4x squared. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Positive 1. X squared divided by x squared is positive 1. We have 1 times 1. That's 1. Number 12. 12c to the 5th d to the 4th divided by 3c squared d cubed. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. C to the 5th divided by c squared is c cubed. 5 minus 2 is 3. D to the 4th divided by d cubed is just d. 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay? And then 18c to the 4th d cubed divided by 3c squared d cubed. 18 divided by 3 is positive 6. C to the 4th divided by c squared is c squared. And d cubed divided by d cubed is 1. So we multiply that by 1. We don't need to write it. There's our final answer there. Negative 24x to the 7th divided by 3x to the 5th. Negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8. X to the 7th divided by x to the 5th. Well, 7 minus 5 is 2, so we have x squared. Our second term, 9x cubed divided by 3x to the 5th. 9 divided by 3 is 3, positive 3. X cubed divided by x to the 5th. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky one. We looked at this in the beginning. So if we have x cubed divided by x to the 5th. We can write that as x to the 3 minus 5. That is equal to x to the negative 2. And remember, x to the negative 2 is in a fraction over 1. To make the exponent positive, we need to move this to the denominator. So this is actually equal to 1 over x squared. So right now we'll leave it as x to the negative 2, and then before we give our final answer, we'll move it to the denominator. And then we have negative 15x divided by 3x to the 5th. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. X divided by x to the 5th, well, we have 1 minus 5, which is negative 4, x to the negative 4th. Now, before we circle an answer, we need to make these two exponents positive, and we'll move those to the denominator. But this 3 and this negative 5 will stay in the numerator because the exponent on those are actually positive. They're positive 1. Okay? So what this is going to look like is negative 8x squared, that's going to stay the same, plus 3 we said was going to stay in the denominator, in the numerator, and then we're going to put x squared in the denominator. This is going to be positive now, minus 5 stays in the numerator, and then x to the 4th will go in the denominator. And this is how we'll write our final answer there. Okay, and number 14. 15x to the 5th divided by 5x to the 4th. 15 divided by 5 is 3. X to the 5th divided by x to the 4th is x. Okay, negative 25x cubed divided by 5x to the 4th. We get negative 25 divided by 5 is negative 5. X cubed divided by x to the 4th. So we have 3 minus 4 is x to the negative 1. And then 5x squared divided by 5x to the 4th. Well, 5 divided by 5 is 1. Times, and then x squared divided by x to the 4th, we have 2 minus 4 is x to the negative 2. And then we'll just put these in the, put these negative exponents into the denominator. So we'll have 3x minus 5 stays in the numerator, and then x to the 1st goes in the denominator, but we don't need to write the exponent of 1, plus 1 stays in the numerator, and then x squared goes in the denominator. There is our final answer. Number 15, okay. So this looks kind of big and overwhelming, but you just need to take it like one little step at a time. So 28x to the 5th, y to the 4th, z cubed, divided by 4, x squared, y squared, z squared. Okay, so 28 divided by 4 is 7. X to the 5th divided by x squared is x cubed. 5 minus 2 is 3. Y squared, y to the 4th divided by y squared is y squared. And z cubed divided by z squared is z, just z. And then we have 8x to the 4th y cubed z squared divided by 4 x squared y squared z squared. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, x to the 4th divided by x squared is x squared, y cubed divided by y squared is just y, 3 minus 2 is 1, and then z squared divided by z squared is 1, so we don't need to write that one. There's our final answer. And then last one of this type here, 30 r to the 5th s to the 9th divided by 3 r squared s squared. So 30 divided by 3 is 10. R to the 5th divided by r squared is r cubed. And then s to the 9th divided by s squared is s to the 7th. Looking at the middle term, negative 12 r to the 4th s to the 8th divided by 3 r squared s squared. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. R to the 4th divided by r squared is r squared. S to the 8th divided by s squared is s to the 6th, right? 8 minus 2 is 6. And then we have 3r cubed s to the 7th divided by 3r squared s squared. So 3 divided by 3 is positive 1. R cubed divided by r squared is just r, and then s to the 7th divided by s squared is s to the 5th. And I have not been saying out loud that I'm checking for standard form, but these are all actually have been in standard form, so just make sure you're double checking. But all right, last 4 problems here. So this is a little bit of mixed practice, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to divide these out here first, and then we're going to multiply, we're going to distribute. We should get a monomial. No, we should get a binomial, and then we'll have a binomial times a binomial, okay? So let's do that first. Let's look at just simplifying this first division here. So 15x squared divided by 3x, we have 15 divided by 3 is 5, x squared divided by x is x, and then looking 6x divided by 3x, 6 divided by 3 is positive 2, x divided by x is 1. So now we have this binomial times, and then I'm just going to write this one down here, 2x minus 1. Okay, so if we remember from FOIL, our first two are going to be 5x and 2x, and that's going to be 10x squared. Our outer two, 5x and negative 1, will give us negative 5x. Our inner two, 2 and 2x, is going to give us plus 4x, and then our last two, 2 and negative 1, is going to give us negative 2. Combining our like terms here, we have 10x squared, negative 5x plus 4x is negative x minus 2. All right, and this one looks pretty complicated. It looks like we're going to want to distribute this monomial first, and then we have to distribute the subtraction sign, and then we can divide by the denominator there. Okay, so let's take this one step at a time. Distributing 2r cubed s8 here first. So we have 2 times 7 is 14. R cubed times r seventh. Remember, we're going to be adding the exponents here, so that gives us r to the 10th, and then s to the 8th. Okay, and then we will multiply this monomial by the second one. So 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. R cubed times r cubed, we're adding them, so it'd be r to the 6th. And then s to the 8th times s to the 4th, adding those, we'll get s to the 12th. Okay, and now I want to distribute this subtraction symbol among the second one here. So minus 2r to the 10th, s to the 8th, and then the subtraction will give us a plus 6r to the 6th, s to the 12th. And I believe that is all of it. And then all of that over 4r squared s to the 4th. Okay, so what we need to do first is we are going to need to combine like terms on the numerator to simplify it before we divide by the denominator. Okay, so we have, let's look at what kind of like terms we have. We have r to the 10th, s to the 8th. We have r to the 10th, s to the 8th here. And then we have r to the 6th, s to the 12th, r to the 6th, s to the 12th. So it looks like we can combine the numerator into two terms. So let's do 14r to the 10th, s to the 8th, minus 2r to the 10th, s to the 8th. And when we have like terms, remember, we're just going to be adding and subtracting the coefficients out front. So it's going to be 14 minus 2, which is equal to 12, r to the 10th, s to the 8th. Okay, and then we have negative 10, r to the 6th, s to the 12th, plus 6r to the 6th, s to the 12th. So negative 10 plus 6 is negative 4. So it's going to be minus 4, r to the 6th, s to the 12th. And this is still going to be over 4r squared s to the 4th. All right, so now let's do this division here. So first let's look at 12r10 s to the 8th divided by 4r squared s to the 4th. 12 divided by 4 is 3. R to the 10th divided by r squared, 10 minus 2 is 8, so we have r to the 8th. S to the 8th divided by s to the 4th, 8 minus 4 is 4, so s to the 4th here. All right, and this other one, negative 4r to the 6th, s to the 12th divided by 4r to the 2nd, r squared, s to the 4th. So negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. R to the 6th divided by r squared is r to the 4th. And then s to the 12th divided by s to the 4th. 12 minus 4 is 8, so we have s to the 8th. And it looks like we do not have like terms here, so this is going to be our final answer. All right, number 19. So it looks like we need to multiply this binomial times this binomial up here first, and then we'll divide by the denominator here. So binomial times binomial. So first two multiplied by each other, we get m to the fourth, n to the fourth. Outer two, we get m, so positive m cubed n cubed. Inner two, we're going to get negative m cubed n cubed. And then the last two, we're going to get also a negative m squared n squared. Okay, and this is all going to be divided by m n. Okay, so let's see if we can combine like terms here. It looks like we have in the middle a positive m cubed n cubed and a negative m cubed n cubed. We add those together, they equal 0. So we can actually rewrite this as m to the fourth and excuse me, n to the fourth minus m squared n squared divided by mn. Okay, now we just need to do this division, so let's look at m to the fourth, n to the fourth divided by mn, and that is going to give us m cubed n cubed. Okay, and then negative m squared n squared divided by mn. We're still going to have a negative mn. And that is our final answer. We can't combine those anymore, and it's in standard form. All right, so same thing here. It looks like we need to multiply this binomial, and then we'll divide by the numerator there. So multiplying the binomial. First two, we have 20k to the fourth. Outer two, we have negative 12k squared. Inner two, we have positive 10k cubed, and last two we have negative 6k, and this is all divided by 6k. So let's combine our like terms. It looks like we actually don't have any like terms here, so let's just get to no like terms. So let's just get to dividing here. So 20k to the fourth divided by 6k. Well, 20 divided by 6 is not a whole number, so we'll just say 20 over 6 for now. K to the fourth divided by k is k cubed. Okay, and looking at the second term, negative 12k squared divided by 6k is negative 2k. 10k cubed divided by 6k is also not a whole number, so it's going to be positive 10 over 6. K cubed divided by k is k squared, and then the last one here is negative 6k divided by 6k, which will give us negative 1. Okay, so we need to simplify these fractions and also write it into standard form. Okay, so 20 divided by 6, we're going to find a number that both the numerator and the denominator is divisible by, and it looks like it is 2. So if we divide the top and the bottom by 2, we're going to get 10 over 3. 10 over 3 k cubed. Okay, so we took care of the k cubed. Now we want to do k squared. This is also a fraction, and we're going to divide the top and bottom by 2. So that will give us, it's still positive, 5 over 3 k squared. Okay, so now we just want the k, minus 2k, and then minus 1. Minus 2k minus 1. So there we had to simplify the fractions and also